welcome to today's deep dive. So imagine dropping millions on this prime piece of real estate in Palm Springs, and then you're told you actually aren't allowed to move a single rock.
Right, no bulldozers at all.
Yeah, no flat foundation, nothing, just you and a rugged, uneven canyon. So our mission today for you, the listener, is extracting insights from architectural studies on Desert Palisades 30, or DP30. We want to understand how luxury design can actually adapt to wild nature rather than, just destroying it. Okay, let's unpack this. Palm Springs Desert Palisades Enclave is this community that strictly forbids mass grading like flattening the land, and they even ban streetlight.
Which is to preserve the dark desert sky. Yeah.
Exactly.
And because the architects literally cannot bulldoze the site, they basically have to treat the rugged Chino Canyon topography as their primary client.
Right. So instead of treating the land like a blank canvas to just paint over, Studio AR&D treats it like this incredibly complex puzzle they have to fit their design into.
Yes, exactly. And what's fascinating here is their rigorous 5-phase methodology. It's built entirely around that constraint.
Oh, like with the community's guardhouse?
Precisely.
Yeah.
That guardhouse is the ultimate benchmark for this. It's just a tiny 915 square foot structure, but they cantilevered it right over a 12-foot boulder.
Wow, just floating over it.
Yeah, it creates this amazing structural tension between the man-made geometry and the natural terrain.
Okay, but wait, I'm stuck on the actual, livability of this. So what does this all mean? If you're forced to build a 4,490 square foot house with massive glass walls in the desert, aren't you just building a giant greenhouse?
You definitely think so.
I mean, you just roast alive in there.
Well, this raises an important question about the passive thermodynamics of DP30. Since the structure has to conform to that rocky terrain, it's completely exposed to severe canyon winds and huge thermal swings, which forces a genius climate response.
What do they do?
The main and guest house volumes are actually positioned to act as a massive windbreaker.
But if they're acting as a windbreaker, wouldn't the central courtyard just turn into this chaotic wind tunnel?
No, because they angle the roof lines to vault the wind right over the courtyard.
Oh, nice.
And that protected central pool courtyard acts as a thermal sink for evaporative cooling.
Really? So the water cools the air?
Exactly. And then inside, they use these Sensi Grey Sand floor slabs. They act as thermal mass, meaning they absorb the daytime heat, which keeps the air cool, and then slowly radiate it out at night when the desert gets freezing.
So it's basically natural AC.
Exactly.
That is so smart. And here's where it gets really interesting. To survive this extreme climate without, endless chemical maintenance, the building's materials actually mirror the local geology.
They have to.
They use these incredibly raw, tactile materials like board-formed concrete that's embossed with real wood grain, plus teak siding and even Mexican cactus posts. It totally blurs the line between the architecture and the landscape.
Yeah, and for the exterior, they use Flowtech slabs. Visually, they mimic oxidized metal, so they fit right in.
Right.
But functionally, they resist intense UV rays and all that wind-blown sand. It gives you high-performance luxury without the artificial high-gloss fragility you see in a lot of modern mansions.
Because getting sandblasted daily would destroy a normal house.
Oh, totally ruin it.
Right.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, why you should care is that DB30 provides a clear, scalable blueprint for enduring, sustainable architecture in a changing climate.
It really does. It's proof that it's possible.
Yeah.
Which leaves you with a final thought to sort of mull over today. I mean, if architects can successfully build luxury homes around natural boulders and alluvial flows in an extreme desert,
Right.
how much environmental destruction could we avoid if everyday suburban housing developments adopted this exact same zero mass grading rule?